Welcome to the Tons of Productions podcast on this Monday, March 11th, 2019. Today I have a conversation with Byron Kopman, who is a cinematographer and director of photography for many productions, like commercials and music videos and actual full-length features as well. If you want to view more of his work, you can go to www.byronkopman.com. That's BYRONKOPMAN.com. And you can also go to IMDb and see a lot of his work. Byron, I've known for many years and is probably one of the hardest working people in film I've met. I'm just in awe of the amount of productions and the least amount of sleep that this person needs. It's unbelievable. My hat goes off to him for sure. So I hope you enjoy it. I did for sure. And without any further delay, here is Byron Kopman. You are listening to the Tons of Productions podcast.
Takes max, I'm assuming. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
So, yeah, this is my third feature.
Yeah. Well, let's go down the list because we'll start. I'm going to start from where you started. Where were you born?
I was born in South Africa. My family in Johannesburg. My family immigrated when I was 8 years old.
Okay. And what year was that?
I don't know. Do the math. 95.
95. You
Yep.
moved here and you were 8 years old.
Yep.
Wow. And was there a reason? Was it like your
Yeah.
parents got a job here? Or
No,
something?
my parents are both entrepreneurs. My
Okay.
the main reason for immigrating was for the violence.
Okay.
And the corruption and the crime and all that stuff. So they wanted to give my brother and I a better life, even though they were very well off.
Well, there was the whole apartheid thing. I remember that whole thing
Yeah.
with South Africa, and so your parents just want to get out there because they were obviously white, and they don't want to be around where it's hair raising and can be dangerous, right?
For
Especially
sure.
with children.
Yeah. So they moved here. I got quite involved in mountain biking. We lived in the North Shore of Vancouver, so like base of the mountains. I got very involved in mountain biking, snowboarding. My brother skateboarded, and
that was your first call, really? That you thought that would be it?
yeah, and that's how I fell in love with film. I started filming with our family's high 8 camera, filming my brother, filming my friends, and literally from then, so when I was 12, that's where it all started. And by the time I was like 16, I was doing jobs for clients. I had a job for a company in London doing video work for mountain biking. I would trade my filming for product, so I wouldn't get paid, but I'd get stuff that mattered more to me, like biking parts.
Still, that's great.
Yeah, and from there, I as I was graduating high school, we had a film program in our high school. It was pretty cool, but they always wanted me to write a script and a shot list based on my next project, that was part of the class, and I told them that it just wasn't possible in an action sports setting. Like, you just go and you capture and you...
Yeah, there's no...
Yeah, your only variable is light.
Right.
And the athlete.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a weird thing for me. I never had interest in scripted stuff at that point.
Just free, open, whatever.
Yeah.
Turn the camera on and whatever happens.
Yeah, so I would shoot and edit my own stuff, which I do feel is the best thing for anybody, like especially like a director. If a director is an editor to start or has an editing background, they are the strongest directors, in my opinion, who I've worked with. And I feel I've learned a lot for director of photography from my editing, because you know what's going to cut, what's not, if you need a whip pan, or just these little tricks that help so much.
It really helped me, because I remember when I first shot with you, we didn't do a shot list. I remember the very first thing that short I did, we didn't do a shot list, and it was the second time when one of the producers I had helping me, a friend's mom or whatever, she said, why don't you do a shot list and give that to Byron or whatever? And I didn't even know what a shot list was. Like, I don't know, what are you talking about? Because I loved all the footage we got before, but you didn't care, right? You were like, yeah, whatever.
Yeah.
You have an idea of what we're going, but that's about it, because you never know in the time. Right then, things can change, especially when you do indie.
Totally. So then from there, when I graduated high school, I was going to go to film school. And my dad's customer, he was a production manager, but I had no idea what that was. A PM, I was like, all right, whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
He suggested not to go to film school and go get a job in the industry, because you're going to, no matter what happens, you're going to start at the bottom. So
the best advice you probably ever got.
I know. I was so lucky. I had no idea. So I went and got it. I applied at all these rental houses that he said, make sure you drop my name. His name's Justice Green, big time PM. And every one of them, the places, Paramount, Panavision, Whites, PS, they all responded.
Just because of his name?
Because of his name. So wow. I had no idea the person I had behind me. So eventually I did and I was applying in the camera department for these places.
Wow.
And so PS, now called Sim, I went for an interview. We'd walked around, and they were like, what do you think? And I was 17, and they're like,
you're a kid, like, what do I think?
Yeah.
Like, you're gonna get an operation here.
Yeah, I'm like, it's cool. Where's the camera department? And they're like, oh, we got rid of it 3 months ago.
Oh, I didn't even know they had camera
yeah.
stuff. Oh, wow.
So they're like, do you want to start Monday in lighting? And I was like, okay. Zero interest in lighting. The only lights I've ever used before were like construction lights, purely just for exposure.
Right.
So I started my journey there, worked 2.5 years in lighting, meeting all these people that came into the shop to rent gear. I would ask them all, like, what are you shooting? What are you shooting with? All this stuff. And eventually I got on set with these people, as I'll come for free. And wow. I just remember working like 6-month periods with not a day off. I would work 5 days a week at PS, and then I would work weekends for free just to like.
So you've always worked that hard?
Yeah, I think it's just my family. Like, my parents have always had their own small businesses, so I've.
Oh, they're the same way? It's just like a go-go?
Yeah, I think that's where I get it. My dad's a workaholic, and so am I.
Yeah.
In a good way. Like, I really.
And you have siblings?
Yep, brother and a sister, yeah.
Brother and sister, are they the same way?
Yes, but both are not in the creative fields.
Not in film, but what they're into involved a really...
Yeah.
Wow.
And then from there, so at this point, I'm still shooting like my action sports stuff, but I'm learning that there's this whole other side, lighting and setting up and blocking and all this fun stuff. And I then got a job with this guy named Ian Barrett, who I consider my mentor. He's a gaffer in town.
Okay.
I got a job with him doing commercials as a lighting guy, and that was the point where I had to make a decision for myself. I had to either
doing camera work, you mean?
No, lamp op.
Oh, so lamp op. Okay.
The story progresses where I worked 10 years as a lamp op while still pursuing DPing. But he offered me an 8-day commercial. So in those 8 days, I was going to make more money than I would at PS in 6 months.
Oh, yes!
So, and I'm such a loyal person.
The PS people brought you into the world.
Yeah. I asked if I could take the time off, take these 8 days off, and they said no. So I had to quit with no notice. And I still feel bad about it, but it's...
But they still love you.
They still yeah, totally. They're used to it. I think it's the natural progression of people that are driven.
Yeah, when they start there, they end up in film.
Yeah.
And that was all the really go-getters when I worked at Parallel or whatever. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
People coming in the door, and then the go-getters, what are you doing? How much you want? And then instantly, they're gone.
And then I worked 2 years with Ian Barrett and his crew, just having a great time. And then in lighting, and then I worked for a couple years with a few gaffers in like the MOW indie feature world.
Right.
And then I got an opportunity to do a day with this crew that was on Supernatural.
Okay.
In rigging. So I was like, okay, cool, try. I went day one. They asked me to come back another day. They asked me to come back the next day. And then eventually I had to talk to my original boss, who I love, Ian Barrett, and I said, hey man, I got this opportunity they want me to do the show.
Like show call.
Show call. And he's like, how long is it for? And I was like, 10 months. And he's like, he's like, take it, man, take it.
Because that'll add to your resume. Oh my God.
Yeah. So there I go. So then I'm on Supernatural rigging department with rigging gaffer Michael Mayo, who I owe a lot to. I worked for him for almost 8 years.
Michael Mayo's a great guy.
Yeah. And he let me, so the whole time I was pursuing my DP dream, right? Because you can't just go from, say, school to a career in DPing and making a living.
Oh, no. How long did it take you? Years?
Yeah, 12.
And even right now, you're doing commercials, you're doing music videos, you're doing that kind of thing.
I still do the odd freebie.
3 features, you said, right?
So it takes a long time to get your foot in the door and make a living.
Right.
So he was so nice to me and he knew that was my dream, and he knew that he would let me go when I needed to take a time.
Well, if he didn't want to lose you, he had to let you go.
Yeah,
he sadly. Just quit.
No, I know. So I was super lucky. I had the financial backing of his, and yeah, it's just I owe a lot to him for that very reason. Like, so now, because of working on that show so long, I've owned a lot of equipment, and that's a thing that has let me. It's a blessing and a curse. It's let me shoot stuff at a whim. Oh, tomorrow let's go shoot this thing. I have a camera, I got lights, I got all grip gear, I got all the stuff. But the one negative it has is that all your stuff looks the same.
Right.
So there's a whole wave of DPs that I call it up against, but they're friends of mine. Not many of them own their gear.
Your competition for getting the job.
Yeah, but all their stuff is such a variety based on the camera and the lens that is correct for the job.
Okay.
So for me, a lot of the time, it's like I just use the stuff that I have.
I heard you got it. They're like, what? Okay, you got the job.
Yeah, and like if the budget's not there, you just use the lenses you have. You're not going to rent the lenses that are $900 for the day. So that's the negative to owning gear. But for me, it's catapulted my career, especially in the early days where I would get hired as a DP owner-operator guy with all this stuff.
Well, I'd say one of my mentors for on-set was you. You taught me that, and I started buying equipment. I have all kinds of stuff that I just accumulated over the years, and it was the same idea. It's not the same equipment, obviously, but it was something that I was like, oh, wow, if you have it already, then...
Totally. Yeah. The thing is, it's a slippery slope because you start climbing the ladder of the quality of gear, and as soon as you get to the top, then now it comes maintaining it. You got to that thing comes
upgrade.
Obsolete. You got to get the new one, or else we call it keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah,
because clients are savvy. They want to shoot on the red 8K. They don't want the 6K, even though it's like very comparable.
Yeah, exactly. Like, how horrible would it be? To be honest, it's not.
Yeah. And then like this camera that was the best a year ago is like literally a doorstop to us. Like,
wow.
Just based on the want from the clients and agency and stuff.
And no one wants it anymore, so it's a doorstop. It just sits there.
So you gotta sell if you have the financial means.
Sell an $80,000 camera for people they don't use it. Yeah.
So you gotta be very aware of what's coming out. If you have the financial means to buy the new one, you sell. It's gonna be someone's gonna want it.
Well, do you sell to camera rental houses? Because I know there's a lot of different places that rent cameras from DSL all the way up to whatever, right?
They're on the same level as us, where they want to be with the newest gear. So it's normally you're selling to like an up and coming DP or.
Okay.
Because everyone's someone's wanting what you have.
Right.
Like everyone's looking up to somebody. I'm looking up to someone. I'm assuming like someone that's newer is looking up to me, I hope. Because I'm trying hard. But yeah, I think it never ends. Like I think that's the main appeal to film is that you never like win. You never
reach the
mastering.
Line.
Yeah, it's I'd be curious to talk to like Roger Deakins or like people that are at the top of the game in the world and see what their take is on that. Because I think they're obviously learning and like they'll watch a movie that they've done and I'm sure they're not like it's perfection. They're probably like, oh, that scene was weird. But even as a 99.9% of the people will be like, that is the best thing I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, no, I know it. But in our shoes now, I realize, because I edited too, where you go over it and over it, and it's not that good, it's not that good, and then someone watches it, they're like, that is great looking, and you're like, no, but there was this mistake and that mistake and this and that, and then you're picking it apart because you're the one who creates it. You're right there watching it, and if it's not exactly what's in your mind, then you're picking it apart. But being the creator, you have to let it go, and you have to. Same as the book, when I wrote that, same thing. All the mistakes. Even now when I read it, I cringe. I'm going through, I'm like, I could have done better there. You know. So that's what you now, and you've done all the music videos and commercials is your main focus on what you're doing today.
Totally, yeah.
And DPing those.
Yeah. So I eventually, like I said, like 4 years ago, I've migrated from the lighting world.
Oh yeah, how did you get out of Supernatural? Sorry, we got off track.
How did I get off of it?
Yeah, like what happened? Did you just get a really good job?
No,
or did you just not go back 1 year?
No, it was a 2-year like exit strategy, but mutual exit strategy. 1 year.
So you let him know. Mike Mayo knew that what you were doing.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Right, okay. You didn't leave high and dry. Obviously.
No, never, no. And I still go back once in a while. It's so nice to see them.
Oh, you do day calls there?
Yeah, for sure.
Nice.
Yeah,
See the boys.
Yeah, it's a family for sure.
Oh, it is. I was there 2 years, and sweet people.
Yeah, and I think it's inevitable when you spend 12 hours a day with someone for that long, 5 days a week, 10 months a year. And to be honest, sometimes we would not sometimes, all the time we would hang out on the weekends.
Oh yeah,
because you're just there talking and you create plans.
And how many times do we do Friday days, or we have to do the wrap out or whatever on a Saturday, and then we just hang out, work together a couple hours, and let's go get coffee, and then there you go, you're hanging out. Right?
Yeah.
Even though you spend all these hours, like I was working mega hours, and I'm thinking, oh my God, you were working mega hours too. When I came to Supernatural, I was so happy to see you there. I didn't know you worked on that show.
Yeah.
Everything we've done before, I didn't know what you did in regular time, your regular day job.
Yeah, and that's my only. I've done 3 jobs in IATSE 891, Supernatural, The Big Year.
Oh yeah.
And Hot Tub Time Machine.
Okay.
I've never done any other union work. I've just been like, that was my whole career.
Wow. Do you have to do a certain amount of hours every year to maintain?
You do. So like right now, I'm just to get your medical, you have to do certain hours.
Okay.
But for me, I just pay like $300 a year just to keep it. I don't mind. It's kind of nice to have like a little fallback.
Right.
And I do enjoy it. Like my passion is lighting. Like I stumbled upon it coming to PS, getting thrown into lighting, not camera. And now like I legitimately love lighting. You
started with camera and then you got into lighting, and now you're even with the DP and cinematography, you're still loving lighting. That's your expertise, or what you're really.
Yeah, and it's just the perfect combo, bridging the gap of camera and lighting and camera movement. Is from my action sport background. I just love being love the energetic camera, and
nice.
Obviously based on the story, but yeah.
Well, when they do Keeping Up with the Joneses, when they do come out with newer stuff, because you're always on the leading edge of what's new and know the technology, is it just convenience? Like the new camera that comes out now, you don't have to do this step. You can skip that step and do this. Is that what it's always convenient, it's always faster, it's always easier to work, or is it the ad stuff?
It's basically the exact same. It's just you need either less light, or you can do slow motion but keep your resolution. It's the upgrades are they're small enough that makes you want it, but they're not big enough to make the other camera obsolete. They're very clever.
Oh, it's like iPhones or Samsung.
Totally, and I feel it's on purpose, which it's smart.
Different charger, different battery, different
cards. Yeah.
Different cards.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow. Oh. Well, I guess that implies to every new technology. That's what they do.
Yeah.
Just
to business.
keep up with it. Yeah. So people will buy it.
Yeah.
It's got to be one step better.
Yeah.
Can't just be the 2019 camera. It has to have that one little tweak.
Yeah. And I've been lucky enough. 7 years ago, I got involved with a company called Alterna Films.
Okay.
Their background was the reason I got involved with them is because their background's snowboarding. So I did 2 projects with the owner there. His name's Carlo Wine. Great guy. So him and I are actually partnered up in our gear assets. So we own everything that I own. He owns 50%.
Oh, wow. So you worked together to do. So you just have collection of gear that you can both use depending on the project.
But
or you work together.
We work together a lot,
Yeah.
and then I'll do my freelance stuff outside. So there's because of social media, some companies think I'm like fully Alterna, which I am on a gear front, but they sometimes don't want to hire me because it's a competition. Because Alterna Films is a production company for commercials, and then so and so is hiring me. So I have to clear that up quite often.
Yeah.
But it's cool. It's definitely a great relationship, and without that relationship, I wouldn't be where I'm at, and also having the gear at my fingertips. Because it's so expensive, especially when you get to this high level of
I know.
Alexa and like the highest end Red, and we got all the drones that are available.
I saw those videos too. Oh my God, you went all over the world.
Yeah, we did like last year we did a trip. We did a month in Mexico, and then we did a month in Costa Rica.
Wow.
Just droning for like a nature thing. Yeah.
Wow, that is so cool.
Very fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's just you and
Carlo.
Yeah, Carlo.
So,
the two that go.
Yeah.
So he's the ones I saw in the video then.
For sure. So
we went to Denmark and stuff.
Yeah, it was Stockholm. Yeah.
Oh wow.
So when he used to do the snowboard movies, like he did 13 snowboard movies, just cult classics. There, I was a huge follower.
So he was the star before you met him.
Oh, way before. Yeah. So he used to shoot them all on 16 mil, and so he has a creative bone. Like he can't just because now he's considered like the producer and the executive producer of the company, and he just can't let that go, right? Obviously, you can't just like tell yourself, okay, I'm not creative anymore. So
right.
He's the drone pilot, and then I do the gimbal, or we have some other people that do gimbal as well. But it just gives him a little creative flair to like choose the camera movement. And
that is so neat. I saw different people doing. When I think I worked for Supernatural, it was people doing drone stuff when it was new, and attaching cameras to drones and stuff, and it was all brand new. And at first it was GoPros, and then they just upgraded the drone to carry a bigger camera, and now they're carrying all the way up. I would imagine
anything. Yeah.
Wow. And it replaces like helicopter stuff.
It's different. It's not fully replaceable, but it definitely has slowed down the helicopter world.
Well, the helicopter now is establishing just strictly
and long distance stuff. Like the drone is like very contained in one zone. Right. Like we did a thing for the Grand Fondo, which is that bike race from downtown to Whistler. We had like heli team, we had car, like arm team, the Versa arm it's called, drone team, and some like motorcycle shooters. But the heli and the drone can't do the same thing. Like the heli could do the whole course, whereas the drone would have to like go to a section, either boat there or drive there, do a little corner, come back, land, then reposition. Whereas the heli can just like milk it. But it's you always have like a low fly limit of 500 feet, or you get the low fly. That's the low fly permit.
Right.
Or you can, so you're never getting that ground level perspective that the drone is capable of. Yeah,
well, the biggest thing that people told me about the drone, that you can go from a high angle and then come right into a scene. And that's what the advantages of it is. Not all establishing, not car driving and whatever. You could use it for that, I guess, to a degree, but it's more for that kind of thing where you go into a window and then you go right in the house and then you all of a sudden you're on the person. Like that's a new technology that's only existed for how long? Not even, I wouldn't even say 10 years.
Oh, yeah, way less.
Yeah, like 4 years, something like that.
So I just did a music video with this director named Matt Dennison, amazingly talented guy. We did a drone oneer. So it started off carrying the drone as like a gimbal. So someone's carrying it. Yeah. We all have like wireless headsets on, so we can chat without hands. And I was controlling the camera gimbal. So we walk, and then we like do a release. It flies up and over these trees following the action, lands, catches, gets caught by another person.
Wow.
Walks around, does a spin around the actor, keeps walking, and then does like a full release, and then to a end establisher. All one take, all one drone with 2 flights in it.
How many times did you do it?
Didn't really count, but I feel like 25.
Until you got her,
Yeah, it was a lot of logistics, and the learning from that is that you almost need to shoot it how we did. Go home, edit it, sit on it for a week. You start really seeing some holes. Like we shot it in slow, like we sped up the song, shot in slow motion. So the 3-minute song's a minute and a half. So everything happens so quick, and the timing's got to be perfect. And there's a couple holes. Like it's still amazing, and I'm really happy with it. But it could be elevated, I feel, with like another prep day, like shoot it as a rehearsal and then watch. Like that's a take home that we learned from that piece.
And is that the goal for a lot of DPs and camera people, where if the longest till you have a cut, as long as the scene, if you can do a 10-minute one take, that's amazing to the people in the camera world, right?
I know.
That's what they look for, because there are movies that are just one take the whole thing, or videos and stuff, right? Like you said.
Yeah. It's always funny. Like, are you doing it for other filmmakers, or are you doing it or for the product?
I want to impress Byron, so I'm gonna.
I know, and we always joke about that, because you're like, should we cut it, or should we?
Or how many times I've watched something where if you didn't work in film, you wouldn't know that was one take. I watch and I'm like, oh my God, that was all one take. They're like, oh really? Like regular layman people who aren't in film, they wouldn't know. But people who do, they would right away pick up on it.
Yeah, it's kind of sad sometimes when you're watching a movie when you get taken out of it.
Right.
So, on my level, I always like try to watch, like half watch the movie as a whole, and then I like look a little bit into the lighting. But if a movie is really good, I won't even pay attention.
I lose myself in the magic.
Yeah.
And it has to be really good. Otherwise, as soon as the acting's bad, as soon as the continuity is obvious, as soon as something takes you out of the thing, the rest of the movie's ruined for me. And then I'm looking at the background, I'm looking at the location, I'm looking at, they didn't, that. And then in my mind, them walking up to the thing, it's an establishment of the outside of the building, but as soon as they walk through the door, they're in the studio, and I know this, and I'm thinking this, and I explained to my wife, and she's like, I don't care, you just ruined it for me, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the magic that captures you, where if you can get into it and then at the end go, oh, I didn't even look at anything in there. It's amazing to me, and that is true art. Like it's like music or anything that captures you, where you don't think of the making of it at all.
Totally. Yeah.
And coming from people who make that for a living, that's pretty miraculous. So anyway. Okay, well, I wanted to also talk about the commercials that I knew. Like, I knew you were involved in commercials, but I haven't seen you in years and years, so I didn't know that these commercials I saw on TV were actually you. And one of the ones I saw was the ICBC one, where the guy's the cell phone, and he says, oh, so-and-so's calling, answer me. And the guy driving was like, no, I don't talk on the phone or text when I'm driving. And that was the whole thing for ICBC. It was like talking about texting and driving and how it's wrong and whatever, and affects your insurance. And that was on TV for a long time. It probably still is. And I didn't know that was you. And then when I looked up your IMDb and your website, looking at ByronKopman.com, I saw another one, which was the Long Lost Brothers one, which Fisherman's Friend.
Yeah.
And that's a new one that's on TV, and I had watched it, and I'm like, oh, I love Fisherman's Friend. And I watched that commercial, and then a week later I look up your stuff, and it's you. I'm like, yes! So that's great when your friends to actually do something, you see it.
Yeah, I'm really proud of that Fisherman Friend one, because we shot in Toronto, and it was all green screen, because they couldn't actually find, it was green screen on location on the water.
Oh my God.
At the time, there was no studio space, and also no construction department people available to build a set that was of good quality. So we had to shoot on a tugboat as a fishing boat with a massive, we did 30 by 60 green screen.
Wow.
Yeah. Key grip Machi, great guy. Built this crazy thing. The wind came up.
Well, yeah, I've never done an outside green screen.
Yeah, it was massive. It was like outside green screen on like a slightly smaller budget, because normally you'd have a rigging crew the day before. That would be the dream,
right?
But they had to build it in the morning. Like they had a 20-hour day, I think.
Wow.
But yeah, we shot. The director is Michael McGuire, really funny guy, based in LA. So it just, if you check it out, it's like the whole concept.
So how did you get that gig? They heard of you and contacted you? And...
So I've recently got an agent.
Okay.
They're based in
so he's selling you.
Yeah, so that was my first job I've got with them. I've been with them for a year. So that was my first job through the agent, which was very exciting.
Nice.
Every other job that I get, which is 99% of them, is based through my word of mouth and my website.
Okay.
So the agent thing's a new thing for me. I was recommended by some production companies in Toronto to get it, because just to make people take me more seriously. Because
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah, I just it's a weird industry that way. Like my agent, I'm not sure if I said, is Partos Co.
Yeah. Okay. No. Yeah. I haven't said their name yet.
They have production designers, editors, costume designers, and DPs. They have a lot of DPs.
And what's your website again?
The agent?
For your agent, yeah.
It's Partos, Partos.
Okay. .com, .ca.
I think .com. I think.
.com.
But if you go to my website, byronkopman.com,
right.
there's a link
to it.
There's a link there. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, it's an interesting world, because as soon as I'm learning, as soon as you get to this next tier, you're competing with the best in the world, or the best in North America.
And who's available, and you're already on the show, that's how you got the job. Oh, okay.
Exactly. And it comes down, like, there's a saying called wet white dog. So it's like, oh, have you shot a wet white dog? You're like, no, but I shot a wet white cat. And they're like, no, we're gonna go with so and so over here. Really? Oh no, but I shot a brown wet dog. They're like, no. It's people.
That's specific, eh?
People want you to have done exactly what they want to do. And me personally, I love doing the variety, and I'm not trying. I don't want to pigeonhole myself, but it happens. It's just natural.
Right. Everyone gets in it. Their focus or their expertise or whatever.
Totally. Yeah. And for a while there, like, my expertise was snow, because that's my background.
Snowboarding and
yeah. So like last year, even in the summer, my first AC and I, Calvin Wong, we got sent to Chile in the summer to go shoot winter. And I'm like, where's my Corona commercial on the beach?
Yeah, exactly. You're always in the snow.
I don't want the minus 20, you know. But yeah. So yeah, that one was through my agent, and ICBC one is through just Vancouver production company North Camp.
Okay.
Another one, if I may, on my website that was probably the most technical and is not that apparent when you watch it. I did a project for Audi.
Okay.
It's called Projecting Greatness. Shot it with the Sherpa Cinema director Dave Mossop. That one to this date is the most technical one I've ever done.
Wow.
It was a 4-night shoot. We shot when the A7S II first came out, like a super good low light camera. We shot with moonlight.
Oh, wow.
And then we had 20K projectors that were projection mapping on the mountain. So we used the snow as the canvas. And so everything in that commercial is 100% in camera, not one CG element.
Wow.
So we had to we had to test all the special stuff on the car, the headlights, just to dim the headlights down so much that they still are projecting light, but not blowing out the camera. Or and we had to even inside the car, we had to black out the interior windows, because even the door handle mini LED would expose the inside of the car. And
so there's some tricks in there to make it camera friendly.
Totally, yeah. But that one to this day is my most technically proud job.
And probably really good for the resume, because when they ask for things, have you shot a car commercial before?
Yeah.
Boom, Subaru too.
Yeah, Subaru. Yeah, Subaru is great. Yeah. And to be honest, car commercials are my dream.
Oh, that's your favorite.
Yeah, just I love cars. My dad's business is car auto detailing, and I grew up working there, and I have this, through osmosis, I have a passion for cars, and then I just love car commercials. So that's my dream. I got 2. Hoping for more.
No doubt. Hey, well, you probably will, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now that you have an agent too, and you told them obviously, so they're rooting for you, right?
Yeah.
Putting it out there. So all these big ones too, they're not all filmed here? You travel to them? Because you did that one in Toronto for the Fisherman's Friend, you said, and then was the Audi one here? Audi
one was in Kananaskis, Mount Fortress. It's called. It's same location they shot Revenant at.
Okay.
Part of Revenant. So that's pretty cool. I travel a lot. I travel mostly within Canada. The last year, I did a job with Neil Blomkamp doing second unit. We did Spain and Hawaii. Super cool.
Wow, awesome.
2 years before that, I went with the same crew, Oat Studios and Neil. We did Thailand, South Africa, and Ottawa, to the cherry on the top.
Ottawa, yeah. But still, that's awesome. So you've been to quite a few places around the world.
For sure.
That's sweet.
And I'm not sure. A lot of people seem to not know about it, but Neil Blomkamp, director of District 9, Elysium Chappie, he did his own project called Oats Studios, Bowl of Oats Studios.com, and it's all free content online. We did 3 25-minute shorts
Oh,
with
I'll
like
check that out.
with some like big talent. Dakota Fanning.
Wow.
Name's escaping me, but the girl from X-Files.
Oh yeah. Scully.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I've been doing second unit for that, and then some of his smaller ones I do main unit. The main unit DP for this is Manuel Ferreira, awesome guy. So yeah, that's hopefully I can keep that ball going, because it's always the pinnacle of my career whenever I get a chance to work with them, because it's at such a high level. Content's great, the direction's great, like everything's great. Like I always feel
Makes
a little
your job easier.
totally, and you're just so inspired.
Yeah, because you're watching people who are just at the top level. Like, you're watching people work that are just, it's not good enough for them. You know, they don't just let things go. If it's not perfect, they're going again, and
they'll verbalize it too.
Yeah,
which I appreciate. You know, I don't like the wool over the eyes kind of thing.
It amazed me to see that world when I started working in film, that there were people like that. Because in the regular world of labor work that I had experienced, it wasn't like that at all. It was always just, I'll leave for the next guy. Yeah, no one cares. Yeah, whatever. You know, showing up late, whatever. Like, if you are so eager in being a part of film, you're never late. You're early, if anything. You're right on the money as far as... And if something's not perfect, you verbalize it and let everyone around you know to help out. And it's not just a communication relationship, but it's maintaining a professional relationship with all the people around you. And that really counts when it comes to landing on a crew.
Totally. And I always say, I'm not sure if it's true, but my opinion is that it's like 50% your skill, 50% your attitude.
Right.
Maybe a bit more on the skill, because some people are not very nice and they're working lots. But... I feel like if you're good at both, you'll go a long way. And you got to be motivated.
It takes a while. For me, I'd say the very first time I filmed, it was probably 80% attitude, 20% skill, because I didn't know what I was doing. And as time went on, I learned from you, and I learned from Darlene Chu, and I learned from a bunch of different people who were in film, then eventually it just got more and more to the point that I can do other departments for other indies and help the people out that help me out and that kind of thing. The one was, we did a music video at Bridge Studios that one time, and I feel real embarrassed because it's not a job I want to do as being an LM. After that time, I realized, oh my God, you know, everything's on me. I'm responsible for this, and if everyone stays late, what am I going to do about it? You know, I'm not kicking people out, and I got all worked up and whatever, and I embarrassed myself later because I thought about it. I was like, oh, what are they doing? I was getting upset over nothing, you know, because it was an indie, but. Having that job as a professional job, forget it. I don't want it. I couldn't imagine, right? But when you're in that situation with that crew, everything just falls into place exactly. Like they know what they're doing, and everything's every person on that crew is really professional in their actions, which is great because I've experienced it in other productions. When you go and you know it's a good show, all of a sudden you're like, what the hell? I just did 2 years on this other show and they don't know what they're doing at all, obviously, right? So as you went through, you worked with different groups and you got to a point that you were like, this is the one I want.
Totally. And then it's sad because then you start working and then you go back, you like regress and you're like, oh, you're like, damn, you get frustrated. That's where I get frustrated the most when it's like unprofessional. Right. If someone's not great at their job or not trying, because I've experienced the top, just being around the top people.
Oh yeah,
it makes me very upset. I don't know why. It's like the one thing that boils my blood.
It does to me too. Someone who wants to be known as a LM or director or whatever, writer, but don't put the time in or whatever. They most want the fame and celebrity status rather than being known as a hard worker and putting all your all into it.
Totally. And I always feel like I have places to grow. Like every job, my one question I ask myself every job, as soon as we wrap, was what could we have done better? What could I have done better? Because there's always something. Like there's always like, just the way you lit it, the way the time that you spent to do this versus that, or
I didn't prep long enough for this, or I didn't set this up properly, or I should have done another take here, whatever.
And sometimes you'll set up a lighting scene and you're too far into it to really like start from scratch based on the schedule. Something like that. Like I try and have everything drawn out and like planned, but sometimes you don't nail it on paper.
Right. You don't know. You have to fly by the seat of your pants.
And that's where experience comes in for sure. So I love learning, and I think that's why I love film. Is just because every job's different.
Right. It's
And
constant learning.
Constant learning, and you're never perfect.
Never same location, never the same lighting setups, always different.
And even if it's the same location, the story's different, so the look's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Oh, it is extremely exciting. That's why that was the other thing when I got into film was the excitement of it all. And you can the passion I had behind it and just wanted to be involved and be a part of it. It was just amazing to me, and it made me smile. It was a really a positive thing, and meeting a bunch of Andrew Shirley, meeting a bunch of Nick Dent. I saw a bunch of people. Whatever you guys
working with those guys actually on Tuesday.
Oh,
commercial,
nice. Well, say hi for me. They're really great guys.
Yeah. Nick Dent's a tough one to get a hold of. He's made it to the top.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a tricky guy. He's top. He's like dolly pusher on like all the Deadpool and
really.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So this feature you're doing.
He's not involved, but Andrew Shirley. So Andrew Shirley and a guy named Kelvin Wong are my two guys that come with me on every job.
Okay.
Kelvin's my first AC, and Andrew's literally good at everything. But
he's worked on everything that you've done with me.
Yeah, but he's good at every role. Like he can even jump in first AC.
Wow.
But lately he's been playing as the gaffer, and he's showing great passion at it, and
he's just
makes
getting
me happy.
Experience and doing it, learning it.
No, he's learned it. He's great. Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'd love to get him on here too, because he's one of those people that's just a go person who.
Totally. He's done all the jobs, like a lot of music videos, and yeah.
Does he work on a major show, or is he just indie?
He doesn't have his membership.
Oh, okay.
So he's like fighting that whole process. He's got to get 90 days. I think he's quite high up there. He's in the 80s maybe. Like he's close. But so he does like day calls on big movies, and then yeah.
Nice. Is there? We're gonna have to wrap it up here soon. Is there anything that you want to promote? Is there anything that you right now is coming out in your?
There's that thing we did with Neil Blomkamp and his crew. We did a thing for Anthem. It's a video game coming out.
Okay.
EA Sports. That was the thing we shot in Hawaii and Spain. It is so good.
Nice. I'm stoked.
Yeah. I haven't actually seen the final product. I saw a rough cut, but it comes out I think February.
Oh, and it's going worldwide probably because
it's just gonna be web, but it's
okay.
It's a live action trailer.
Nice.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So that's that. I have my feature that I did with Tony Dean Smith, director, editing background, one of the strongest directors I've worked with ever.
Nice.
We did a feature called Volition.
Okay.
Psychological thriller, indie feature. Yeah. Under $200,000 budget, I believe it was.
Wow.
And that comes out sometime this year. Like
it's on streaming or in the theaters?
Film festivals, like the big, hopefully the big film festivals.
Right.
Eventually streaming.
Yeah.
So that's very exciting. It's almost done. It's being colored. I have a colorist I work with, Dave Tomiak.
Okay.
Very loyal to him. Great guy. Super talented.
You bring all your work to him?
All my work to him. Yeah. I think that's it for stuff that's coming out that I'm excited for.
Yeah, no, there's if anyone has a chance, and the new the Long Lost Brothers Fisherman Friend commercial, it's awesome. You got to check it out if you haven't seen it because it's really
funny. I also did this on a comedy level. It's not like that. It's not a masterpiece of cinematography, but we did a thing with Rethink Canada for Evo Car Share.
Oh, okay.
And if you're from Vancouver, it will be extra funny because it's like playing off the Vancouverisms.
So you'd have the inside jokes.
Yeah, it's on my website right now. It's just funny. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you for coming in. I appreciate you sitting down with me. I know you were extremely busy, and any chance I have to sit down and talk with you, and if you ever get another chance later on, I'll poke you and see if you'll come up for another interview.
Yeah, maybe we can talk about this indie feature, how it went.
Just finished. Yeah, you're just starting right now, right?
Yeah.
Like,
recap.
Oh, well, I'm going to say it's going to be great. How about that?
Okay, cool.
You go in, it's going to be great. You're going to have fun.
Positive thinking.
Exactly. The power of positive thinking.
Yeah.
Well, take care,
cool.
man.
Thanks, Mike.
It's good to talk to you. Well, that was great.
Byron's a great guy, and sorry this interview was so short. We only had so much time, and we fitted in what we could, but, it's just amazing, his story. So, join me next Monday when I sit down with Cole Jones, who is she's done a lot of jobs in the film industry, actually. Assistant location manager, production assistant, scout, and mostly in the locations department, but really cool person, and you will enjoy the interview for sure. So I'll talk to you next Monday, and you guys have a fantastic week and weekend. Take care.